Hey folks, good morning. Today we're going to be riding Kawasaki's 2023 KLR650 Adventure. And in true adventure spirit, we're going somewhere special to do it. All right, folks, there it is, Kawasaki's 2023 KLR650 Adventure. This is an OG style adventure touring bike from Kawasaki Motors Corporation out of Japan. This particular vehicle is manufactured out of Kawasaki's Thailand factory. Now, the KLR650 has been being manufactured since the mid-80s. Fast forward to today, and the KLR650 most recently got its last major overhaul for the 2022 model year. In that overhaul, it received this new LED headlamp, new bodywork. We have thicker axles front and rear. That brake rotor is also a little bit thicker as well. We have a longer swing arm and a new frame with integrated subframe. Stability at speed was always a weak link in the previous version of the KLR650, so it's nice that Kawasaki addressed these things. Now, this particular vehicle is powered by Kawasaki's water-cooled 652cc single-cylinder engine. It now benefits from digital fuel injection, which you see right here. You can see we've already been doing a little bit of adventuring. This replaces the mechanical carburetor. Digital fuel injection is so neat because it allows the engine to run optimally, regardless of elevation, regardless of the type of climate that you're riding in. Now, this engine is good for right around 36 to 38 horsepower at the business end of that 17-inch Dunlop tire. Look at that, a nice double piston rear brake. We love a strong back brake. Now, this particular KLR650 is an adventure model. So the adventure model has a $1,000 upcharge versus the base KLR650. This thing rings in right around $7,900. For that extra $1,000, you get these awesome fog lights, which are manipulated via this integrated fog light button. You also have these hard case bags on the right and left hand side. They are super easy to use. You push the button here and that exposes the internal storage. You can also easily remove these bags and bring them with you by pushing that button. Here we have a toolkit. So we have a handy toolkit with some basic tools in which you can use to fix your motorcycle or make adjustments, including that windshield. This windshield is adjustable in two positions. You have to remove these 5mm Allen bolts to do it. We also have this nice flat part where you can store a backpack or tie something down. This is really nice. It looks really premium. It's flat. A lot of tie down points on the integrated subframe, and that is pretty neat. Now, it's worth mentioning that this adventure touring bike goes against the grain, at least in the modern adventure touring bike world, with the use of a 21-inch front and a 17-inch rear. That is a combination that we don't really see anymore. Everyone's gone to 21/18s. Yet Kawasaki has this setup near perfected, and it sticks to the script with the 21/17 combo. Obviously, a 21-inch front is what you want. It's really big diameter, so it goes over obstacles. A 17-inch wheel diameter is more road friendly, but considering the limited amount of power this vehicle has, a 17 probably would work really well, which we're about to find out. All right, folks, who is ready to go on an adventure? I am. All right, folks, here we go into Baja California, aka Mexico. This is one of the awesome things about traveling on a motorcycle like Kawasaki's KLR650. These motorcycles they just go everywhere, and they're designed for touring the globe like you see here today. All right, let us go across the border, and away we go. Now, when you're traveling into Mexico, it's important to remember that you have to have a valid U.S. passport. You have to have a valid driver's license with motorcycle endorsement. And you also want to have vehicle insurance. So, passport, valid driver's license with motorcycle endorsement, and vehicle insurance. It's also not a bad idea to bring your vehicle registration. We just went in through the Tecate, Mexico border stop, which is just outside of Dulzera, California. That border stop is generally way less busy than Tijuana, for instance. So very easy, very greasy to cross the border, as you saw right there. If you don't have anything to declare, which we don't, you just breeze right through. Yet you never know, when you're in Mexico, you could be stopped by the local police, and if you are stopped by the local police, you want to make sure that you have all of your necessary paperwork, passport, driver's license, and vehicle registration and insurance, just in case of an emergency. We're going to go around this taxi guy right here. We're in Mexico, so we can fudge the rules that apply to us in the United States of America. Ha 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 ha. So we're in Tecate. We are going to cruise down through this highway. It's like an inland highway that takes us to Ensenada. So we will be heading south towards Ensenada, which is a major trading port city on the Pacific Ocean. It is so beautiful there. And we're going to talk about this KLR650 adventure along the way. Look at that huge pothole. Did you see that? Whoa. With all the recent rains here in Southern California and southern Baja, Mexico, the roads are extra dilapidated, not only at home, but down here. So it sure is nice to be on a durable adventure, hardy steed like this 2023 KLR 650 adventure. But we'll talk about the performance and handling of this bike in a little bit. For now, it's time to get tacos. Yeah! We'll check in with you folks in a little bit. Look at that, folks. Birria tacos.
Yeah.
How are they, John Beck?
I haven't tried them yet. We're still doing photo ops.
You better eat fast, man. We got photos to shoot, bro. As you can see, we left no taco behind. Let's get back on the road. Phew. Hey folks, we just wanted to take a moment to apologize for the audio in this road section on Highway 3 south of Tecate. I positioned my lavalier microphone a little bit low inside the chin bar of my Shoei Hornet X2 helmet, so the audio is not as good as it should be. I thought about re-recording this section or doing a voiceover, but there's a lot of really great talking points that we bring up in this section of road. And you have to remember, our US audience relies on our editorial to help them in their purchasing decision when it comes time to choose their next motorcycle. So we're gonna triple check our microphone on the next video, and thanks for riding with us. All right, folks, here we are entering the Guadalupe Valley. Look how beautiful it a full revamp, but a much needed revamp, something that it hadn't had in over 14 years. Isn't that crazy? The last time we rode a KLR650 was probably the 2012 model year version, and then the time before that was the 2007, so it was right before it was updated. Actually, it was the 2008. It was the 2008 model year vehicle, so that would have been the second generation, technically. And at its core, this KLR650, it is tried and true. Now, cruising here at 76 miles per hour in top gear, fifth gear. We don't have a tachometer, so we don't know what RPM this engine's pulling, but the engine doesn't feel like it's revving too high. Now, you can feel some engine vibration through the foot pegs and the handlebar, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's excessive. It's definitely present, and it's not as vibration free as other ADV bikes we've ridden, but to be fair, those ADV rigs cost 2.5, 3 times more than this bike. So it does have some natural vibration despite the twin counterbalancers that the engine used to help mitigate that vibration, but I wouldn't say it's excessive, especially when you factor in the price point. To be fair, I actually kind of like the vibration coming through the foot pegs. It kind of keeps your feet just alive, interactive, and awake. All right, guys, we are going to pass these cars. We are in fifth gear, no need to downshift. And that was the thing that really noticed the most when I hopped on this KLR650 is even though the powertrain essentially really hasn't changed that much, it still employs a 652cc water-cooled dual overhead cam shaft engine. It still has a decent amount of power. The fuel injection, of course, was added for the 2022 model year, so it now has electronic fuel injection. The camshaft profiles were also tweaked to help boost engine torque. There's also some other small tweaks, like the exhaust header pipe is of smaller diameter. Kawasaki says that helps boost torque production again. So a couple small tweaks to make this motorcycle more peppy, and it certainly feels more peppy. Now on the business end of the Dunlop ADV tire, this motorcycle makes right around 37 horsepower. Almost 37 horsepower and right around 35 pound-feet torque. You're probably thinking, geez, it's not very much power, especially for a full-size 652cc motorcycle, but you'd be surprised at how effective this powertrain is at getting this vehicle up to speed. Of course, when you're passing slower traffic like we did back there, you certainly have to plan your passes in a much more planned way than if you were riding a KTM 1290 Adventure multi-cylinder bike. Those multi-cylinder bikes, they just have so much more pep, so much torque, that it makes passing slower vehicles that much easier and faster. So you definitely have to really plan ahead and look ahead, but you'd be surprised how effective this power band is. This motorcycle absolutely is capable of cruising at 90 miles per hour. And with its updated chassis, which feels way more capable in terms it's not so flimsy and and weeble wobbly like the old KLR was at higher speeds. This thing, you can cruise on 90 miles per hour on this thing all day. I just wish it had cruise control. Of course, cruise control and heated grips are accessories that you can purchase on this motorcycle. OE accessories from Kawasaki Motors Corporation. Back to the engine. Now, 652cc single puts power back to the 17-inch spoked rear wheel via its 5-speed transmission and the chain final drive. The 5-speed transmission also got some tweaks as did the clutch. Kawasaki moved from ball bearings in the clutch to thrust style bearings. So a lot of just, I don't want to say insignificant, because everything's significant, but very thoughtful tweaks to make this motorcycle more durable. Now, durability and reliability is a hallmark feature of the globe-trotting KLR650, so Kawasaki didn't want to mess with that formula. And having a motorcycle that is ultra reliable and ultra durable, geez, like when you're operating a vehicle in a foreign land on foreign roads, you can't, having a motorcycle that's just reliable and it's not going to break down and is going to go the distance, that means so much. I've ridden other brands of motorcycles in foreign countries on foreign roads by myself, and I'm like, oh my god, if this bike breaks, if this motorcycle has some kind of malfunction, I am going to be in trouble. And some of the European competition, especially when their models are all new for that model year and they are heavy on the electronics, they have little hiccups in your vehicle. I have heard of people getting their vehicles disabled due to little electronic glitches, and you don't want that. And Kawasaki prides itself in having that high level of durability. Again, folks, we are riding south of the border in the country of Mexico. The U.S. rules of the road do not apply here, so we're fudging it a little bit, so I hope you don't mind. Alright, we are traversing up a pretty significant paved incline. We have the throttle pinned to the stop, and we are pulling up this road no problem at 84 miles per hour. In fact, I have to let off the throttle because we have this bend coming up. God, I really like the handling of this motorcycle. It sounds almost ridiculous to say that you would like the handling of this 487-pound KLR650 adventure, but it just, because it only has a single-cylinder engine, it feels very light. Whoa, what is going on there? That was odd. I think we were between 5th and 6th gear. Now we're, I'm sorry, 4th and 5th. Now we're in 5th. It's back to normal. Where were we? Yeah, because this motorcycle only has a single-cylinder engine, it is exceptionally narrow between the rider's legs. And although there is a decent amount of flywheel effect and mass from that big 100mm bore piston, this motorcycle is just, it changes directions very well, and it's ultra responsive. Changes Kawasaki did to the frame, adding that more rigid rear subframe, adding the lengthening, the swing arm. The swing arm's about 1.1 inch longer than its predecessor. The rake and trail have also been modified. The rake is a little bit sharper, there's a little bit for trail as well. That really wonders to boost the stability of this vehicle, especially when you're riding at 92 miles per hour. I remember the 2008 through 2018 KLR650. That thing, when you were riding at speed, that thing got a little wibble wobbly. This thing is a lot more approach, and I like that. Ergonomics, Kawasaki tweaked the ergos of this vehicle. I like the rubber mounted foot peg and rubber mounted handlebar. It does a good job of isolating and neutralizing some of that unwanted vibration. Again, you do still feel a noticeable amount of vibration, especially through the foot pegs. A little bit through the handlebar, but quite a bit through the foot pegs. But again, I wouldn't say it's off-putting. I think this cockpit's pretty spacious. I like that the foot pegs, they're a little bit farther forward than you would expect for a conventional adventure bike or conventional motorcycle. It's almost like, I wouldn't say this motorcycle has mid controls, because the controls definitely, the foot pegs are definitely further back rearward versus mid controls, but they're also not crazy aggressive and sporty. They're a little bit more forward than you would feel on a typical motorcycle and an adventure touring bike. But that's okay. When you're riding this motorcycle, you have a high degree of comfort. I like how narrow the fuel tank is, but you still have these big flat surface areas around the 6.1 gallon fuel tank, so you can squeeze the bike with your knees. It also blocks the wind, so along with this wide front fairing, it does a good job of blocking the wind around your legs. The handlebar is decently wide. It would have been nice if Kawasaki would have put an aluminum Renthal or Pro Taper style handlebar. I think that would have been a really nice touch. Realistically, you could buy that kind of handlebar for $120 nowadays. If you get a good deal on it, that would be a nice improvement. You know, not having a crossbar pad. I mean, this isn't a dirt bike, so you're not going to be wailing on this thing off-road. I mean, you kind of could a little bit. You'd be amazed at where these KLR 650s can go. But it would have been nice to have a real aluminum handlebar with a crossbar pad. Kawasaki's always really big on customizable ergonomics. They've done a really good job of that on their street bikes and even their motocross machines, their KX450F and now KX450. Would have been cool if maybe they had an upper triple clamp that had adjustable, had extra holes so you can move the position of the handlebar. Not saying that it doesn't work, because it actually works real good. It's very neutral, but more adjustability is always a good thing in our book. Alright folks, we got a little traffic jam right here. I'm gonna pass these people. The semi-truck is right on me, and I don't like that. I passed everyone. When I'm riding my motorcycle, I always want to be out in front. I feel like if you're out in front, the chances of mishap happening are always less. So out in front is the safe way. Alright, back to the ergonomics. No handlebar adjustment beside the ability to shift the position or forward or aft. I actually loosened these 10mm bolts before we departed, and I rolled the handlebar forward. I did that because the handlebar in stock configuration, it had a little bit too much sweep. I knew we were going to be riding off the road, and I always hate when I always just like when I ride off-road and I'm riding with a handlebar that's like in your lap. I want the handlebar a little bit more upright. So I rolled them forward a little bit, and while doing that, that also shifted the control levers down a little bit, which I also like. I generally like my control levers always angled down, no matter if I'm riding a sport bike, a motorbike, anything. I always like them angled down, not too down. You know, sometimes if you're riding at the racing circuit on a really high performance motorcycle, you're going to shift your levers a little bit more forward down, just because you are in a race tuck position. It just makes it easier to actuate the front brake and clutch. But on this motorcycle, I just have them a little bit south of neutral. Of course, you can always adjust the position of the front brake lever by these 8mm bolts here, and these 8mm bolts, they also control the position of the mirrors, and these OE and Taco Belches plastic handguards. I love these plastic handguards. These do a good job of keeping air off your mitts, keeping your hands a little bit warmer out on the road. Now this KLR650 Adventure is equipped with OE fog lights, which we will show, or actually we already did show you. OE fog lights, these things are awesome. That's the on and off switch. We also have our 12-volt power points. That's the cigarette lighter style power port. And then we have our USB cover, which we showed you guys earlier, with the little extra cavity so you can roll up your cord very nicely and have the cord out of the way so it's not dangling in the wind. Kind of neat, kind of cool attention to detail. This cover is kind of maybe not engineered the best. It doesn't really stay on very well. It clicks on here, but still kind of comes loose. So definitely better than nothing, but it would be nice if they re-engineered this cover so it's stuck in there a little bit better, but I'm not going to complain. Now, this KLR650 employs a taller windscreen. This windscreen is actually adjustable in two positions. Right now we have it in the lower configuration. Realistically, I should have put it in the higher configuration before we left, but I just forgot to do it. Now, we're going to have to access this windscreen with, I believe it's 6mm Allen. There's 4 6mm Allen screws, and you have to remove those Allen screws to reposition this. So again, it would be nice if Kawasaki, they're really good at engineering things, and it would be neat if they would have had a toolless style adjustable windscreen. How cool would it be if you just had to push this lever in or out and then you could slide the windscreen? I know Kawasaki's offered that on other models, and it would have been nice if they would have had that on this vehicle. You know, when you're riding, obviously KLR 650 riders are diehard, and more often than not they're probably going to have tools and stuff like that, but I always like toolless adjustable windscreens because it's easy and effective. You can change the height on the fly. I'm not saying this motorcycle needs electronic windshield adjustment. That's just too much engineering, too much weight, too much complexity, and of course cost. But a toolless windscreen would be a bonus in my book. I'd be willing to pay that extra couple $100 for that feature, especially if it had a nice aluminum handlebar. Now, this OGO tank bag is covering the fuel cap. The fuel cap is right here. That's how you top off the 6 gallon tank. Kawasaki re-engineered the position of the fuel pump, I believe. So even though the capacity of the tank hasn't changed, the usable fuel volume is higher because the engine has the ability to access the fuel when it is really low. So that's a good little efficiency update. Yes, some more turns. I love riding this bike for turns. Who knew that a KLR650 could handle are designed for off-road, while 17-inch are designed for road bike riding. Kind of an odd wheel combo, especially in today's world. But Kawasaki's just done so much engineering, and they have the 2117 platform so dialed that there's almost really no reason to change the wheel side. I was kind of thinking about it. I'm like, wow, how neat would it be if they put an 18-inch rear wheel on? 18-inch rear wheel obviously gives you a little bit less sidewall, but it gives you greater options of tire choice, and it's just more of a conventional, true off-road format. But I figured, just throwing on a 1-inch bigger diameter rear wheel, that's going to really modify or change the steering geometry and affect the handling. And Kawasaki would probably have to redesign more parts than they want to. So, to keep, in the interest of just simplicity and keeping the price down, I'm sure that's why they opted to stick with the 17-inch rear wheel. To be fair, it works good on the road, and it works well off-road, which we will be testing out later here today. It's also worth noting that bikes like BMW's fabulous R1250 GS, that thing was a 17-inch wheel combo, and again, simplicity and not having to redesign massive components in the motorcycle are likely the reason why bikes don't play 18-inch rear wheels. Now we're rolling on Dunlop's K756 specification dual sport tire. This is an on-off road tire from Dunlop. Tires are one of the areas where, realistically, if I made this $7,900 2023 KLR650 travel mine, I would wear out the tires as quickly as I could. Even if they weren't fully worn out, I would ditch them and put something else on. Kind of depends if you're riding more road, more off-road, or you're going to do a 50-50 split. The good thing about today's world is we have so many different awesome tire choices from a variety of tire manufacturers. You can even get good off-road tires in 17-inch wheel configuration. So realistically, almost having an 18-inch rear wheel is almost sort of a moot point, because you can get good rubber on 17s. But tires are one area where I would think this bike could stand for a little bit of improvement. Now, we're riding solo right now. Kawasaki also paid attention to the passenger. The passenger grab rails have been reshaped, and you saw this bike when we were talking about it earlier before we left. Like that, this rider and passenger seat is nice and flush and wide, and there is a lot of room for a passenger. Of course, this motorcycle, the capability of the engine with only 37 horsepower, you don't have a lot of power underneath you, so having another person with you is just going to make this motorcycle a lot more sluggish, but you still could bring someone if you wanted to. Instrumentation, look at this LCD readout. A little bit small, especially compared to the modern generation of motorcycles with their oversized displays. Wouldn't have been a bad thing if this thing was a little bit bigger. It would be nice to have a tachometer. It would also be nice to have a gear position indicator. I don't know why Kawasaki didn't put that in there. Added metrics, fuel economy, ambient air temperature. Those would also be nice features. Still, I do like that it has a clock. I do like it has a fuel gauge. You can keep tabs on the capacity of that 6.1 gallon fuel tank, but it would have been nice if Kawasaki would have added tachometer, coolant temp. It's always a good thing to have. You know, while we're at it, it's got coolant temp. It will have oil temp. No vehicles have oil temp anymore, but it's kind of nice to have that kind of readout. There is our external colleague, John Beck. He is our photographer. He is going to be capturing the excellent photos that you will see in our article that will be published on motorcyclistonline.com. As a reminder, that's where all of our expansive review content lives. So make sure to bookmark that website. We've tested hundreds of motorcycles the last couple years. So if you're shopping for a motorcycle, please visit our website. I think John Beck wants to stop and do a photo somewhere here, so we are going to pull off the road soon. We are now in Guadalupe Valley. This area of Mexico is known for its wine. There is wineries and vineyards all over the place here. It's almost like Napa Valley, Mexico version, sort of. So this Guadalupe Valley is a great way to bring your significant other or someone you just like out and treat them to a little fun. It's not very far from San Diego, California, and it really checks a lot of boxes for the food and beverage connoisseur. You also get to see a more rustic way of life that we don't really typically see in metropolitan areas of the United States. But that's why motorcycles like this KLR650 are so awesome, because they're about using them as tools to explore the world and get out of your comfort zone and see how other people around the world are living. How cool is that? And we're doing it for $7,900 in its configuration. Alright folks, we're going to stop at this Alto sign and we'll check in with you in a little bit. Thanks for riding with us. Alright folks, look what we have here. Treacherous water crossing. Here we go on the treacherous water crossing. Oh my god, how cool is this? KLR650 goes right through it. Nice. Nice. Woo! Alright folks, here we are on this beautiful highway heading towards the ocean again, toward the city of Erensada. This will be our destination for the evening. Now normally we would take the super fun off-road fire road to the coast, but because we are running behind schedule and the sun's about to set here in about 35-40 minutes, we are going to take the faster route, which is this paved highway. And again, stringing together these asphalt corners on this 2023 KLR 650 Adventure. God, this bike is crazy. I never really thought that there would be that much of a difference between the outgoing 2018 and the Generation 3 and updated 2022 and now 2023 KLR 650. This motorcycle is surprisingly capable. I'm having a good time riding on it. It feels really nice in the turns. Yeah, of course, more power is always better. More suspension support and road holding is always better. But for $7,900 for a bike that can just kind of give me a couple grins here and there and be this comfortable to do a legit touring ride, that's pretty good in my book. Look how beautiful it is, folks. This is what motorcycle riding is all about. Getting out there and exploring the countryside. Yes, I love how this thing is so apt to change directions. I'd be lying if I didn't say that these tires and the overall suspension, when you lean this thing over, it is a little mushy, and you definitely feel a little bit of tread squirm the more you lean the bike over, especially when you are going upwards of 60 miles per hour. But again, for all intended purposes, whoa, look at those big bumps. It is okay. Speaking of big bumps, this 8 inches of suspension travel forward and aft really does a nice job of soaking up those big bumps. And just the ride quality on this motorcycle, especially on so-so Mexican road surfaces, it's really good. This bike rides awesome. It straight rides awesome and has a very comfortable ride, even over potholes and bumps and crappy pavement, like the kind of stuff that we are rolling over right now. Well, folks, we're nearing our lodging for the night. We are going to crash at Rick's house. Coyote Cows, owned by Rick. He is an expat, an American guy who now lives down here. Tomorrow's agenda will be waking up bright and early, per usual. We're going to hit the road, actually hit the trail north, and we're going to do that fun fire road and rocky hill climb on the way out of town or back north towards the United States, instead of doing it on the southerly route like we were going to do today until we ran out of time. There was some major road construction in Ensenada after we signed off with you guys, and it was crazy. It took us literally probably an hour just to get through there. I mean, these motorcycles are fairly narrow, and we couldn't even split lanes because that's how tight and packed the traffic was. But I tell you, if there was a motorcycle that I'm gonna have to idle on through traffic for a bit of time, this KLR ain't a bad choice. Alright folks, we are nearing the coast. We will check in with you in a little bit. Wow folks, look at this. Look at the beauty that we are seeing here to our left. If I could just get my glove on for a second. The hard thing with riding and talking with the GoPro is that you have to push the button, and pressing the button is basically impossible, the record button, when you have these gloves on. This is the town of Ensenada. It rained a whole bunch recently here in Southern California in the Baja Peninsula, and I am so happy that I'm operating this KLR650. It's crazy how this bike, it just goes over the rough stuff. Yes, it doesn't have the precise handling of a bike like that 1290 Super Adventure, but gosh, it gets the job done, and it gets the job done comfortably. That is the biggest takeaway from riding it on this rough dirt road. We're not even standing up, and the ride quality isn't that bad. We're not feeling any crazy jolts or anything through the controls here. Let's get our glove on. There it is. Thank you, God. Now we can stand up. Of course, this motorcycle in the standing position, not gonna lie, the standing position, look at that horse. The standing position is a little unoptimized for a modern off-road bike or a modern ADV. Like we said before, the foot pegs are a little bit more forward than we'd like, especially for the standing position. And that's really the biggest thing. It's just the foot pegs. They're just a little bit too far forward, and having that rubber atop them to isolate the vibration, well, that's nice, but you also don't have a lot of grip against the sole of your boot. I typically like foot pegs that are wide and relatively sharp and serrated, kind of like oversized foot pegs you'd want to ride on your motorbike. That's what I generally like. So you're not going to have that same level of sole stability as you would with other ADV bikes. Look at that, folks. Look how beautiful it is. Wow. That is where we're going to stay. That's Rick's house. Coyote Cows. That place is awesome. All right, folks, I'm going to check in with our photographer, John Beck. He is going to help us acquire some very nice photography during what we call golden hour, which is right now. We are in golden hour. Look at that gold, boys and girls. So we will check in with you folks a little bit later. It's time to get to work and get the great photography for all of our proving purchasing U.S. audience members in the United States of America. All right, folks, we'll check in with you later. All right, folks, good morning. Here we are at Coyote Cows on the Baja Peninsula. There are motorcycles. We locked them up with a chain. It's always important to make sure you track your valuables and lock things up when you're in a foreign land. So there's our motorcycles. We are going to hit the dirt route today on the way back to the highway. And look at here, some other like-minded adventure guys kicking up nice dirt on their dirt bikes. How cool is that? It's awesome to see people riding. These guys came equipped with a chase vehicle. That way they have extra fuel, water, snacks, medical support, spare parts in theory. So if someone breaks down on the trail, they can get going. We didn't really bring any spare parts with us on this trip. You know, probably should have brought some spare stuff, but it's all good. We're riding mellow, and we are on the durable and steadfast 2023 KLR650 Adventure. I really like these cases. It's cool for a small upcharge that you can get this setup. I have my waters, an extra jacket, some sunglasses, some duct tape, Fanta, excess calorios, of course, and some salsa. This is from Tomas. He made that fresh here at Coyote Cows. So awesome. It's also nice having those crash guards. We haven't used them yet, but it's nice to have some vehicle protection in those fog lights. Those things are awesome. They're nice and bright, as we showed you earlier. It really helps you stand out when you're on the highway. All right, folks, we are gonna saddle up and get into the saddle. We'll check in with you guys in a little bit. God, this is so beautiful. I love this KLR. I love going and seeing things on this thing. Uh-oh, fuel gauge is reading low, which is strange because we should still have plenty of miles considering this is a 6.1 gallon fuel tank, but maybe it was because it was on our side stand. We'll just have to see. Fortunately, we don't have too many more miles to the fuel station, probably about 20 miles. So, considering that this thing gets close to 40 miles per gallon, we should be just fine. If not, we'll have to hitch a ride on our friends' motorcycles. So we will see. All right, folks, let's ride down to the beach. How often can you say you rode your motorcycle on the beach? Here is the beach access right here. Tide is very high today, so I don't know how much sand riding we're gonna do, but let's go down there and check it out. Whoa, it is rocky, but the KLR takes it all in stride. Whoa. Maybe we can't get down there. We can, but it looks a little precarious. Let's find out. What do you think? All right, our photographer John Beck gave me a little manual extra muscle to get backed out. Now we are pointed in the right direction, and we go up this rocky incline. We took our gloves off because we were manhandling the motorcycle. We will put them back on when we park up here. There's our external colleague, Bobby Boo Ali from Cardo Systems. They are a manufacturer of Bluetooth enabled communication headsets for your motorcycle helmet, and he's operating his drone right now. Alright guys, I'm going to drink some water and we'll check in with you in a little bit. Alright folks, we have gotten unstuck and now we are going to climb the semi-precarious grade. There's where we got stuck. Normally we ride on that beach, but it was a little bit too hairy for us today. It's always important to remember, no matter where you're riding, you always want to ride within the limits of your skill and the capability of your vehicle. There is no trophies at the end of the day, so staying safe, keeping the bike upright at all times is paramount. We have photographer John Beck atop this hill. He will be capturing some imagery when we go up this semi-steep incline. I wish these foot pegs were more grippy, but we are doing okay so far. Downshift into first, and that's where this KLR really excels, is just lugging up terrain, lugging up objects. You can't really ride this bike like a high-performance ADV, that has like a lot of travel and a real racy setup. You can just mob through the rocks and boulders. On this thing, you have to really just cruise. Now we are heading inland, folks, and there is a pack of UTV operators here. They are giving us the right of way, and they are also exploring the Baja Peninsula. We have a cyclist right here too as well. That is the cool thing about bicycles and UTVs. We are one big happy power sport, and if you don't have an e-bike, manual pedal biking family, we as modern motorcyclists like to participate in all forms of sporting activity. So it's nice to see the camaraderie on the trail here. Look at the cattle in the distance. Here is some more UTV people. Again, when you're riding on a trail, you always have to be mindful of not only the terrain in front of you, but other vehicles that may be sharing the fire road with you. All right, folks, we talked a little bit earlier about the legendary reliability and durability of these KLR 650s by Kawasaki. Now, these motorcycles in current configuration are actually produced in Thailand out of Kawasaki's Thailand manufacturing facility. Many of the parts, however, are sourced from Japan. You know, for the price point of this motorcycle, $7,900, you'd think, oh, it's probably got a lot of cheap components, but if you look at the wheels are actually made in Japan and they're really high quality. It's actually pretty surprising. The wheels that come on this motorcycle are more high-end than wheels I've seen on more expensive multi-cylinder ADV bikes. Kind of crazy. Of course, the width is a little bit more narrow. I believe the front wheel is 1.6 inch in width, while the rear is 2.5. Here's our rendezvous spot. There's the sign for Erindira. That was the city that we traversed through last evening. And now we have probably another 16 miles to go, heading east inland to rendezvous at our fuel stop, and then we will head back north through the inland Mexican highway through Tecate. Tecate is generally a less congested port of entry as compared to Tijuana. It's always worth checking on your smartphone. The Department of Border Security in the United States has a really nice app. I think it's the CWT app, and that gives you border wait times. So you can look at that app and understand the wait times at the point of entry. All right, where were we? Oh, that's right, durability and reliability. Whoa, that was kind of crazy. The mud rut caught my front tire and it felt kind of weird. Maintenance on this vehicle. After its 600-mile initial service, Kawasaki says that you should change the oil on this motorcycle every 7,600 miles. So every 7,600 miles you change the engine oil and the oil filter at the same time. This motorcycle takes, I think, just right around 2 quarts of oil. So quite a bit of oil inside the engine. During your 7,600 mile service, Kawasaki says you should check the air filter, make sure that's not too dirty. Obviously, because we're riding on freshly rained terrain, there is not very much dust. So the air filter doesn't have a big job to do. Cross this mud puddle right there. And that is basically the maintenance valve adjustment intervals. So you have to check the clearance on each of the 4 valves on this single cylinder engine. And Kawasaki says to do that inspection every 15,200 miles. Crazy, because that frequency is relatively short. I mean, you think the Tuning Fork brand's multi-cylinder bikes, those things go over 20,000 miles between valve inspections. So you'd think this more simply engineered single-cylinder engine could go further, but Kawasaki says every 15,200 miles, according to the owner's manual. Of course, these 652cc liquid-cooled engines are wood axe reliable. So they work day in, day out. I've never owned a KLR650, nor put that many miles on a test vehicle, so I can't say whether the vehicle feels or the engine makes any funny noises after that if you don't do the valve inspection. But knowing Kawasaki, they're probably real conservative with that, and you could probably not even never check them. They'd always be in spec, because these motorcycles are high quality Japanese bikes, and I love spending money on quality things. Look at this guy up here. What's he doing? Shooting guns? He's got his wheelbarrow and he's doing something. Alright folks, we are riding back on this fire road. Basically it's going to be this higher speed fire road for the next 17 miles, 16 miles maybe now, until we get fuel. Whoa! That was sketchy. Good thing we were riding slow if you were hauling, but you came around that thing that could make for a very precarious situation. So we have another 15 miles or so to go till we get fuel. It's interesting, the fuel gauge is rather low. We should have a lot more fuel than that. We haven't really ridden that much, considering this vehicle has a 6.1 gallon tank. We only put on 176 miles, I think, yesterday, and maybe only about 90 miles on that tank of gas. So the fuel gauge should be reading higher than what it is. Alright folks, we will check in with you in a little bit. Alright everyone, we are dropping down to the highway. Whoa, there's a couple of random dogs. Let's watch out for those guys, poor doggies. You see a lot of random dogs cruising around here. And there is the main highway. We will get gas right here. This is Santo Tomas, I believe. And our fire road excursion comes to an end. I do enjoy riding this KLR650 on this 2-lane fire road. It's super comfortable. I wish the foot pegs were repositioned a little farther rearward and had more meat on them. That's probably the biggest knock, is this bike is awkward to operate in the standing position. Sometimes when you're going over rough terrain, you're going to want to stand. But as far as actual comfort and ride quality, I would rate this bike pretty high. Look at all the recent rains, really made a mess of these streets, as you can see here. Alright folks, we're gonna fuel up and hit the road. That was sick. Alright folks, this is the crazy traffic jam spot I was talking about earlier. It was so dense yesterday that I couldn't even turn my GoPro on because I didn't have a free second to push the record button because traffic was so dense. And this 487-pound KLR650 just cuts right through this traffic. Again, we are operating this vehicle in Mexico, so the rules are a little bit different than they are in the United States of America. So we are riding our motorcycle and slicing through traffic this way. All right, folks, it wouldn't be a trip to Ensenada without stopping at the legendary fish spot. This fish spot is right in Ensenada. We always come here. The ceviche here is bomb! Well, folks, that was delicious. Words cannot describe the yumminess of this fish stand here in Ensenada. It is fire! All right, amigos and amigoettes. We are just passing through Ensenada after stopping at the fish spot that is so fire. Look at that huge Mexican flag. We have the port of Ensenada to our left. We are heading north right now. We're gonna buzz through the city, buzz back onto the highway towards Tecate, and that will conclude our quick adventure on Kawasaki's 2023 KLR650 adventure. What a blast! We're only gone for probably, it'll be 30 hours, 32 hours all said and done, but we saw a lot of stuff, had a lot of fun, and we'll have vlogged probably right around in total 340 miles. Not a bad day's work. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and just like that, that wraps up our ride down inside Baja California, inside the country of Mexico. That was so fun. Who knew that true adventure is just a few miles away? And you can cover a lot of ground, see a lot of stuff, have a lot of fun in a very affordable way with Kawasaki's KLR650 adventure. We are now in the city of Tecate. We are just going to the border entry point. We have all of our ducks in a row and documents. Stop sign. And we will be back into the United States. I can smell the Applebee's cooking on the other side of the border. Ha 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 ha. Just joking. All right, folks, we are going to get into the border queue. Now, it is a weekday afternoon, so the border queue shouldn't be too crazy, but like I said earlier, it's always good to check out the, I think it's called the CWT. It's the border weight app. It's an iOS and Android smartphone app, so you can monitor the length of time the wait is. We're on motorcycles, so we have the ability to scoot past traffic, which is always really awesome. Border crossing right there. Now, normally we would film this whole experience, but you never know. The law enforcement personnel might not be advocates of that. So we're going to cross the border here in a minute, and we will check in with you guys again here shortly. Thanks for riding with us down in Mexico. Well, folks, we made it. We are back in the Golden State. You! Now we just have to put in another 60 miles toward our headquarters near Oceanside, California. And we will be rocking and rolling. We'll clean up all the mud on the dirt bike and clean her all up, and then wrap things off at home base. Well, folks, we did it. All told, we logged 343 miles on our south of the border KLR650 adventure trip. And I have to hand it to Kawasaki. This KLR650 definitely lives up to its adventure model name. During the course of our ride, we averaged right around 43 miles per gallon, a little bit low in the KLR community, but to be fair, we were doing a lot of high speed riding above 90 miles per hour and up to 100 miles per hour down a hill. Don't tell anyone. Shh, our little secret. There's a lot to like about this KLR 650. It's super comfortable, it's very capable, it's durable, it's put together well, and of course the price. But the misreading fuel gauge, the quirky, very far forward foot pegs, and the awkward standing position make it a little bit cumbersome, especially off-road. And we are always wondering, are we out of gas? Are we full of gas? Kawasaki really needs to readdress the fuel tank reading system on this bike. Still, we would absolutely pony up $7,900 for this KLR 650 adventure. It is absolutely worth the extra $1,000 upcharge. Those lockable and removable hard cases, crash guards, not that we used them, but it's nice to have. And the fog lights are all very nice features and something that we would pony up if this bike were ours. Of course, you want to save some money. The $6,900 base KLR 650 is always a good option. And of course, you can just do it yourself and save a little bit of money. Well, folks, that wraps up today's review of this KLR 650 adventure. Make sure to surf on over to motorcyclistonline.com. That's where all of our written content comes to life. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thumbs it down if you didn't, because we love to hear from the naysayers. And thanks again for riding with Motorcyclist. We'll see you on the next episode.